Welcome into New England Sports Time. And today we have yet another guest, the second of today, Morey Hershgordon, lead sports anchor at WHDH Channel 7 here in the greater Boston area. Thank you so much for joining, Morey.
Sam, thanks so much for having me, man. Empty parking lot behind me. We're previewing France, Morocco tomorrow. Not sure when this is going to air, but we're just wrapping up our World Cup coverage and looking forward to training camp coming up at the end of the month.
Definitely, it's awfully exciting. The World Cup has been amazing. It's brought an incredible spectacle to Gillette Stadium. I was at the Haiti-Scotland game where did a bunch of fan interviews. Tartan Army is amazing, and Scotland produced the loudest noise in Gillette Stadium history. But on to the Patriots. There's a lot of hope, and there's one player in particular that's bringing in quite a bit of hope. A.J. Brown, over 1,000 yards in 4 straight seasons, over 1,000 yards in 6 out of his 7 seasons in the career. Just got over 1,000 last year, but one thing I was wondering, how do you think he's going to gel with the other players in the wide receiver group for the Patriots? Because, of course, he had the little things going on, which led to him leaving Philadelphia.
I think he's going to fit in pretty seamlessly, Sam. I really do. He knows all about head coach Mike Vrabel's culture, having been with Vrabel in Tennessee to begin his career. He admitted to us that, he had a New England Patriots rug in his house, even during the time when he was playing for the Eagles. So I think it's pretty well known that the Patriots were his team growing up. He wished he was drafted here. Now he is here, and he's joining a team that's fresh off reaching the Super Bowl and was one of the main surprises in 2025. So I think this year, the way that he's going to gel will be fine. Drake May is a top MVP candidate at quarterback. And this is something that his skill set is really what the Patriots receiver room lacked last year. As good as Stephon Diggs was, he wasn't your true big-bodied number one receiver. He played like a number one, and all the credit to him, right? Coming off of an ACL tear the season before, midway through with the Texans, he comes in, he had 1,000 yards last regular season for the Patriots in his one-year stint in Foxborough. But then you saw in the postseason, Diggs had a tough time separating against better defenses in bigger games. And I think A.J. Brown's arrival here in Foxborough will certainly alleviate some of that pressure for Drake May. And I think his skill set complements Romeo Doubs well. And then, you have some other big body targets as well, whether it's, a 6'4" Matt Collins, Eli Raridan out of Notre Dame, Hunter Henry. Those are 6'5", 6'6" targets. And, Kayshon Boutte doesn't play small, and Kyle Williams, is a little bit thinner, more of a speedster, but he's still 5'10". So I think the Patriots receiver room with the addition of A.J. Brown will certainly be one of the better ones in the NFL, considering the guy who's throwing them the ball.
Oh, definitely. I feel that this Patriots wide receiver core, you mentioned Kyle Williams, a little bit smaller, but he's mixed in with a lot of big bodies. Matt Collins, of course, with his big frame. I really feel that it's going to be very balanced. I love the Raridan pick as well with the Patriots in the 3rd round. This passing offense is going to be something. I feel Romeo Doubs could be a really solid wide receiver too. And also one other area that I think they've done a really good job of is the offensive line. Elijah Vera-Tucker, I think that's a great move. 3 years, $42 million, of course, drafting Caleb Lomu. How do you think the offensive line is going to shape up this season?
Yeah, so it looks like Will Campbell in the offseason program added some weight to his frame. I think he's going to get a lot stronger. He admitted, last year at 21 years old, to be thrown into the left tackle position and start from day one, I think he held his ground pretty well. I think a lot of people are focused on that playoff run when, you're facing the best players, the best teams, the biggest stakes. And he was coming off of an injury as well. So I think that's a lot for a rookie to handle. Now with his first full off season coming into year 2, I think he'll have a better understanding of what needs to happen there. And, hopefully health isn't an issue late in the season like it was last year. And then you look at, like you mentioned, Elijah Vera-Tucker, who, if he's healthy, can be a force and can be a top 10, maybe even top 5 left guard in the league. Super athletic guy that just hasn't had the chance to really put it all together. Now he's going to come, go from playing with the Jets to playing with a contender in the Patriots. Jared Wilson back at a familiar position at center. And then you have Mike Onwenu at right guard, and you have Morgan Moses at right tackle. And then you have Caleb Lomu, who a lot of people were high on. Yes, he was the 7th offensive lineman taken in the NFL draft this past April, but I think a lot of people were really high on him. So for him to be your swing tackle, to be your backup tackle there, I think provides a lot of depth. It's similar. It's like with starting pitching with the Red Sox, right? If you follow the Red Sox, it's like, oh, you can never have enough starting pitching. You think the Red Sox have a lot of depth. And then it's like an injury to Connolly early, an injury to Ranger Suarez, Garrett Crochet goes down. All of a sudden, what was a lot of depth is now being really tested. Same in the NFL with your offensive line. They have a really good first five. It's a long season. It's a physical league. You expect them to make a deep run in the playoffs. There is going to be injuries. To have Caleb Lomu there at 6, and then to have a couple other guys even behind him at your 7th and 8th offensive line, I think that's going to go from what was an improved offensive line last year, considering the years prior, 23 and 24. They took a step up last year to kind of middle of the pack. I think this year they could really prove to be a top 5 or top 10 unit in the NFL. And if they do that, that'll really help Drake May, the running game and the passing game.
Definitely this season, the Patriots, I believe that they will be back in the playoffs this year, but it's definitely a tougher schedule. And speaking of that schedule, what do you think are some of the key matchups that the Patriots will be having that they have to win if they want a good shot at making a playoff run?
Yeah, it's hard to say right now in July before training camp games that they have to win, but I think games that they certainly have circled and people like us in the media or fans who watch, you have to start with week number 1. I mean, not only is it the first game of the NFL season, it's a rematch against the team who, quite frankly, handled you on the game's biggest stage, the world's biggest stage. In the Super Bowl was the last game of last season. So I think that's a nice benchmark game for them. I think it's a nice litmus test early. Hey, this is the team we last played in the last game of the year. Yes, Seattle's different. The Patriots are different personnel, coaches come and go, and there's going to be different players out there on the field. So it's not completely apples to apples, but to go into their house after what happened in February, I think is a really good benchmark to start the season. And then you look at some of the rest of the games, like you mentioned, on paper, a little bit of a tougher schedule, no doubt about that. Going to Buffalo, it's going to be, I think, just the second home game for them in that new stadium. And considering what the Patriots did last year in the division, they retook that mantle of being the top team in the AFC East. You think the Bills are going to come out and want to get them? Jacksonville early on in the season, a team who was upstart under Liam Cohen last year. And then obviously you have some of your other bigger games. You've got, the Bears on a prime time on Thursday night. You've got the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, a playoff rematch on Thanksgiving weekend. You've got the Chiefs leading into Christmas on a Monday Night Football game. So, and then you've got the Broncos here late in the season. So a lot of playoff rematches, a lot of primetime games. And I think that's what's expected when you're in the Super Bowl, right? You're featured in those standalone windows a lot. And we will surely get to watch the Patriots in standalone and primetime windows plenty this season in 2026.
Definitely. One last thing. What do you think some of the keys to the game are to get that essential win that you talked about? Of course, the first matchup, Patriots will be out for blood in that one against Seattle.
Yeah, I think with that one, it's going to be handling the emotions similar to a Super Bowl, but in a different sense. I mean, the 12th man is going to be electric that night. They're going to be raising a banner. Sam Darnold and company are back playing, in front of their fans for the first time as Super Bowl champions. So I think that night, it's nice that you've got, most of the same team back, right? In terms of, guys on the offensive line in the backfield at some of your leadership and captain positions. There wasn't too much turnover there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they added a lot of veterans. And assuming that Christian Gonzalez is back and he gets his mega extension signed, I think the Patriots have a really good chance. You want to play from ahead, if you can. You want to score early and score often. And then you want to limit the mistakes, right? They didn't limit the mistakes in the Super Bowl. But you want to limit the mistakes. You want to hold Seattle to 3. And I think coming out as the Hunters in that game will certainly be a little bit different than the role that they play throughout the 2026 season. I think last year they were the Hunters, right? Because they were coming off of, some poor seasons in 23 and 24. This season, they're going to be the hunted for most of the season, except week 1. week one, they can still say, hey, we're the underdogs, we're the hunters. Why? Because the Seahawks won it all last year. The target is solely on the Seahawks' back. So I think that change of mindset, will help the Patriots in week one.
Definitely will. Thank you so much for coming on, Morey.
Thanks so much for having me, Sam. Should be another great football season here.
For sure. Looking forward to the Patriot season and looking forward to hearing your reporting on Channel 7 here in the greater Boston area.